Hello, everybody. Today's video is extra special. I'm here with one of my favorite people, Katlyn Duncan. Katlyn, thank you so much for joining me. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for having me, Jenna. I'm thrilled to be here. My name is Katlyn Duncan, and I am a hybrid author, which means I publish both traditional and independent books. On YouTube, I talk about the writing process and all the bookish things. And I have been publishing since 2013. I started traditional, and now I am self-publishing. I'm a mom, and I also work full-time outside of being an author.
Awesome. Amazing. You've got like a million accolades, and I love that. You're like, I do this, I do that, I do everything.
Yes.
I love it. Katlyn is here to discuss how to become a hybrid author. Now, if you're not familiar, a hybrid author is an author who doesn't stick to a single publishing route. That means they've got work signed with a publishing house, and they also have work they publish themselves. Hybrid publishing has become super popular over the years, and it's no secret why. When done well, hybrid authors are able to reap the benefits of both publishing formats at the same time. You've been asking how to become a hybrid author, and Katlyn Duncan is the perfect person to answer your questions. She is a hybrid author who just released the book, The Successful Hybrid Author, a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to learn more about the biz, you gotta pick up a copy. I got it linked below. I asked my patrons over on Patreon for questions all about hybrid publishing, and Katlyn is answering them today. I cannot wait to get started. It's gonna be awesome. Before we get started, a friendly reminder that my nonfiction writing craft book, Shut Up and Write the Book, came out just a few days ago. So if you want a step-by-step guide to writing a book from start to finish, you gotta check it out. It's available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. I got it linked below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post new videos on Wednesdays, and if you want to be alerted as soon as I upload, ring that bell. Now we're diving into the topic. It's time to learn all about hybrid publishing. Katlyn, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Here we go. Let's start with question number one. Can you give us some insight into your personal hybrid publishing journey?
Absolutely. So in 2013, as I mentioned, I started traditionally publishing with Carina UK, which was a digital first imprint of Harlequin at the time. And I received a 3-book contract, and it was amazing. I did not have an agent at the time, though, which I think a lot of people don't usually go in that route, but I sort of went in a different route with an editor, and I published with them through 2020. And through that, I had 4 contracts, still no agent. In between there as well, once I had my child, I was fortunate enough to stay home for a bit, but admittedly, after a while, I got a little bored, and my creativity just needed something to play with. So I ended up ghostwriting for a couple of years, and I still do that a little bit on the side. But through ghostwriting, I sort of saw publishing in a different way, in that a lot of people use ghostwriters. Some of those rapid releasers use ghostwriters, and that's totally fine. But it opened my mind a little bit to different paths when it came to writing. And then my final traditional publishing book came out in 2020. And through everything that happened, I took a step back a little bit. I had severe burnout. I wanted to go in a different direction with my books. So I had my first series ended up getting reverted back to me from my publisher, which meant the rights were mine again, and I could do what I wanted with the book. And I was like, well, why don't I try self-publishing it? Because I couldn't sell the book. So then I went out and self-published Soul Taken. And right before that, I wrote Take Back Your Book. So I was looking up as much as I could about rights reversion, and no one was really talking about it outside of like small conversations. And I was like, hey, let's talk about this more, because a lot of authors actually get their rights back and then don't maybe not publish them themselves, or they don't do anything with the book. And I wanted to know more. So I created that resource for mostly myself to sort of download the process of what I was going through and hopefully give advice to other authors. So after those 2 books, I got the self-publishing bug, and I have been self-publishing since. My My thriller, Her Buried Lives, came out last year, and The Successful Hybrid Author, which I don't have my copy yet, for this year. So that's sort of how I got to where I am today.
That's awesome. Her Buried Lives is on my TBR, and I've already read Soul Taken. It is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. So, question number 2, what are the benefits of hybrid publishing?
Well, when it comes to the benefits, I would say when I think about it, it's sort of taking the good things out of both independent and traditional publishing. So, me coming from traditional publishing, I sort of understood the process on like how a book is formed and like the different types of edits you go through. Some of my books got more marketing than others. So, I knew all of that. And I have to say, like, if you do go traditional, there is still that stigma of a little more clout of being an author too, which I don't know why that still is, but you could use that to your advantage when it comes to being a hybrid author. Self-publishing, you can take, like, you can write whatever you want, basically. So with trad, it's a little more nuanced than that. And so that's a benefit you can take in. Also, to understanding the process of a self-published book is a huge asset. So you can go into contracts with traditional publishers, sort of knowing what all the subrights are and what you're willing to achieve with that goal of becoming hybrid. So I would say it's the choose your own adventure, pick the best parts of both paths and sort of create your own.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about hybrid publishing. Everyone's like, you get the best of both worlds, like Miley Cyrus, you know? So, number 3, on the flip side, are there any downsides to hybrid publishing? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, I would say definitely. So time is a huge thing. You know, when you're sort of balancing two different paths, you really have to look at, you know, deadlines and stuff for your trad stuff, which is usually not as flexible as self-publishing, because trad publishers are looking out 18 months to 2 years in terms of their schedule. So you really have to meet those deadlines for them. Money is also another thing too. So when it comes to self-publishing, as you know, we put a lot of money into editing, covers, things like that. So it's sort of a balance of figuring out how much time and how much money you want to add to either.
That makes sense. I've always heard that, oh, there's no downsides to hybrid publishing. And I was kind of like, I feel like there's a downside to everything. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like certain people, they'll get like very hardcore in a camp, whether it's hardcore traditional, hardcore self-pub, hardcore hybrid, and they'll be like, it's perfect and there are no downsides. But even if you really love one camp versus the other, there's always a downside to everything.
Something that I always say, and which is why, like, for the series for these 2 books, is author first, because a lot of times we are not first, and sort of having the knowledge and confidence to get what you want out of it is super important. And not a lot of authors know that they can have the control to do so.
Exactly.
But there's pros and cons to everything.
Exactly. So, question number 4, how do you decide which project to publish traditionally and which to publish independently?
So I would say this really depends. And I know that's probably not the best answer, but when you look at each of your books, so for instance, Her Buried Lives, I actually did query it before I self-published it. I intended to go trad with it because it was sort of my path at the time. And I got really good response rates from agents. And then it came down to changing a core aspect of that book, and it wouldn't be the book anymore if I changed this aspect. So I started to think, all right, this is a consistent remark that I hear from editors and agents. So I didn't want to do that. And I know that trad has very specific genres that they are publishing, and especially now after the pandemic with everything going on in traditional publishing, they're really looking for that like high concept book. It would really depend. So if you have a book that is marketable straight out the gate, high concept, or if you're just someone who wants to pursue traditional publishing first. I started because I had a full-time job and I didn't know, it was sort of like what I wanted to do, but like I didn't know I could self-publish. And also 2013, I mean 10 years ago, self-publishing looked a lot different.
It was very different.
It does now. Yeah. So, and also I would say just go with your gut. I mean, a lot of hybrid authors now that I spoke with, one that's in the book, she sort of takes every project and says to her agent, see if you can make money off this. If not, I'm going to go self-publish it. And that, I feel like, used to have a lot of like, oh, you failed at publishing if you're self-publishing. But nowadays, absolutely not. If you can take the time to query and possibly go on submission, do it. If that book isn't going anywhere, there's nothing wrong with self-publishing it yourself. It's just that trad probably doesn't want the book at this moment, but I would say, publish it.
I completely agree. I know lots of people who've queried books that had a high interest rate, but like you said, they wanted them to change an aspect they weren't willing to change. I had a friend who wrote an adult book and they really wanted her to make it YA. And so she would have to age down the whole cast. And she was like, no, I'm not doing that. A lot of it comes down to business decisions. It's like, if they're really in the market for YA, they're gonna, want you to make it a YA book. It's not always a reflection of the writing. It's often a reflection of the business landscape and the marketing and things like that. So just because you're getting feedback like that, it doesn't mean the book is bad. And if you, want to keep the book the same way, you can self-publish it and still get an amazing response out of it, because there's readers for everything. So question number 5, what's the first step writers should take if they think hybrid publishing is right for them?
I would say, again, one of my pillars is knowledge. Go where those writers are. So when I was traditionally published, I went into Facebook groups for indies and I learned so much about the process and everything. So I would say networking is probably the first thing. Researching, listen to podcasts, watch YouTube channels about the other side, and learn as much as you can, and then, try and fail, because that's what we all do when we do new things. So definitely learn and network. It's definitely invaluable. Like the friendships I've made and the support system in the writer community is just great.
I could not agree more. I'm constantly telling people you have to mingle within the writing community. And a lot of people are like, but I'm an introvert. It's like, well, so am I. It's all online. You don't have to see... Yeah, exactly. It's like, you don't have to see these people in person, so don't worry about it. Just mingle. I know we already touched on this, but let's dive in a little bit more. Question number 6, let's talk about time management. A lot of writers have been asking me this, so now I'm asking you, how do you manage your schedule while publishing both traditionally and independently?
I am one for goals. I tend to have quarterly goals for myself because that's just a system that has worked for me in the past. So I come to every quarter saying, this is what I'm going to do. And then I execute based on that. So currently I am self-publishing, but if I were someone who was actually being a hybrid author in both spaces at the same time, I would probably look at deadlines for my trad publisher first and get those into the calendar, and then set goals around that. So I always look at what can't move, like what deadlines can't move, and then, make my schedule around that. And I have task lists and stuff like that to stay on point. So I try to do something author related Monday through Friday and just keep trucking along like that. It's really all about knowing where you want to be and having those deadlines.
Completely agree. So question number 7, if writers want to be hybrid authors, is there a particular publication order that you believe works best? For example, should they go traditional first, then indie, or vice versa? Or does the order not necessarily matter?
Personally, I don't think it matters. Like I said, I started trad for a reason. Like I was working full time. I did not have any idea how to self-publish. And at the time, I have to say, it wasn't as open as it is now and available to just everyone to do it. So I would say, if you're really looking to have someone sort of take care of you, project manage you, probably trad is best at first until you get your feet wet. But you could also be doing both at the same time. I mean, it's so easy to upload books now, and cover designers are at our fingertips. So it just depends on you. It depends on your story. Again, learn the market, know where your book sits in it, and if maybe that genre does better self-publish, maybe start off there first. And you don't necessarily have to, go wide up front either. I know a lot of people just start off Amazon as their platform because it's the biggest book platform currently, and it's very easy to upload a book and just see how that does for you. So you don't have to do all the things. I know we want to, but
right.
You could really start off where you think that your personality lays. And also, if you want to go wide and things like that, there is like a financial aspect to it as well. So you want to make sure that you have that all set up first.
I'm becoming a broken record, but I completely agree. Sometimes people say you have to go traditional first and then go indie. And I think that might have been the case like 10 years ago. I know plenty of hybrid authors who went indie first and then went traditional. It's not the case anymore. I think the only time that you would have to go traditional first, there are some people who will self-publish a book and say, I'm self-publishing it to get an agent and to go traditional with that particular book. That's probably not going to work unless that book is a huge breakout success, because, if it's already published, why would another publisher want to snatch it up?
Right.
That's the only situation I can think of where it's like, okay, there's a particular order to go about things. But other than that, like you said, the industry has changed so much that you can really do whatever you want. Question number 8. Are there any big mistakes writers should avoid making if they want to go the hybrid route?
So I would say not having an open mind would be a big mistake, or only following like one path. So say you started trad and then you do everything in self-publishing the trad way. I could see that being a big mistake. For some, it might work, but I would say just keeping an open mind, knowledge, and really not relying on one path or the other. This is like being a hybrid author. Like I said, you can grab the best of both worlds. So be sure to do that at the same time, because you are going to be busier than someone who goes one path or the other. So just make sure that you're consistently touching both sides of it so that you're taking advantage of both.
So question number 9, you recently released The Successful Hybrid Author. Congratulations on your big release.
Yeah.
If there is one key takeaway you want readers to get from The Successful Hybrid Author, what would it be?
I'm going to be a broken record. Never stop learning. Knowledge is key in this. Knowledge and networking, I would have to say. Those are the biggest takeaways. And especially networking specifically with this book, because I interviewed a lot of authors. I have 4 hybrid author case studies, and I have a bunch of other authors who contributed, and they were fantastic to work with. So knowledge and network, and just have fun with publishing, because it can be a lot of fun, especially when you're dipping into different areas.
Yeah, that's something that I think a lot of people forget about because they get so wrapped up in the business of it, or they get so wrapped up in the craft and making it perfect. It's like, it's supposed to be fun, guys. Don't forget. Last question, where can everyone find you and your work and learn more about you?
Absolutely. So you can find most of the links to all of my books and my socials on my website, KATLYNDuncan.com. I do have my self-published books, the digital ebook and audiobooks, at KATLYNDuncanBooks.com. And I mostly am on YouTube and Instagram.
Awesome. And I will have all the links in the description below, guys. So check out the description, check out Katlyn's stuff. Thank you so much for joining me. It was an absolute honor having you.
Thank you so much.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post new videos on Wednesdays. And if you want to be alerted as soon as I upload, ring that bell. Shut Up and Write the Book is available for purchase right now. You can get it in ebook, paperback, hardback, or audiobook. So if you want a step-by-step guide to writing your book, you got to check it out. It's available now. No more pre-order. It's live. I got it linked below. And be sure to follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and BookBub. And of course, you can tweet me at Jenna Moreci. Bye.
Hey there. This is Lisa Corton-Leone, narrator for Shut Up and Write the Book by Jenna Moreci. Be sure to subscribe to Jenna's channel and ring the bell. That way you're alerted as soon as she posts a new video. Trust me, you don't want to miss this stuff.